So, a few months ago, I did a video on the top 10 best Huskers of all time. First and foremost, I do want to thank you guys for the support on that video. My first video to hit 1,000 views. I really appreciate it. Now, there was one person that I should have given an honorable mention in that video. His name is Trey Palmer, and he just so happens to be the best receiver Nebraska has had probably in the last decade. And currently, he's making an impact on the Buccaneers. Without further ado, let's do this. Raymond Trey Palmer was born on April 2nd, 2001 in Kentwood, Louisiana. Kentwood is a small town in the Tangipahoa Parish in Louisiana. Some great sports figures come out of this parish, such as Devontae Smith, Kim Mulkey, and Robert Alford. So obviously, Trey's town has some sports recognition to it. But I feel like one thing that all those people have in common is that they never forget where they come from. Devontae Smith once wore a t-shirt that says, "Just a kid from Amite," referring to Amite City, Louisiana. Devontae went on to be one of the best college receivers of all time and was a beast last year on my fantasy team. All right, back to Trey. My bad. Trey attended Kentwood High School and has even stated that his graduating class was only 20 to 30 people. Trey ran track and won the state championship 4 years in a row in the 200-meter dash. He obviously played football there, winning the state championship his freshman and senior year, and Trey eventually decided to stay close to home and signed to play at LSU. When Trey was 15 years old, he met who would eventually be his receiving coach at LSU, former Husker and current head coach of Grambling State, Mickey Joseph. A Louisiana native himself, he and Trey immediately had a connection. Coach Mickey would go on to notice how mature Trey was at such a young age. He noticed how Trey would take care of his brothers, from feeding them to waking his brothers up for school. He didn't have a father in his life, so he had to take on a lot of responsibilities in his life and at the same time essentially be a father figure to his brothers. Coach Mickey decided that he would be that father figure for Trey, raising Trey as if he was one of his own. Trey committed to LSU because he wanted to play for Coach Mickey. During Trey's freshman season at LSU in 2019, he would have to wait his turn as he was a part of one of the greatest college football teams of all time, with receivers ahead of him such as Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, and Terrence Marshall Jr. So yeah, Trey would have to wait his turn. But that didn't seem to bother him too much, as that team won a national championship that year, playing in 9 games, only recording 1 catch for 6 yards. In his second year at LSU in 2020, which was during the pandemic, he played in 8 games with 10 catches for 108 yards. In his third year at LSU in 2021, he played in 11 games, starting 5 and gaining 30 catches for 344 yards and 3 touchdowns. Mickey Joseph would eventually get the wide receivers coaching job at Nebraska in 2022, and after the Georgia Southern loss, was awarded the head coaching job. Since Trey had such a connection with Coach Mickey, he knew that he was following him to Nebraska. In his 1 year at Nebraska in 2022, he played in 11 games, starting all of them, catching 71 catches for 1,043 yards and 9 touchdowns. I was actually at Trey's first ever Nebraska game as they played Northwestern in Dublin, Ireland. Another game that I want to mention is his game against Purdue. He set the record for receiving yards in a game with 237 yards, and he only did it on 7 catches. Trey mentioned that before the game that they were talking trash to him, saying that he sucked. That just gassed him up to do what he did. Purdue faithful, please come to the front, please. You mean to tell me that you trash talked a player who was on the Bolitnikoff watch list? And Purdue hasn't really been all that anyways, so yeah. In his last game as a Husker, he caught 9 catches for 165 yards against our bitter rival, Iowa. Nebraska won the Heroes Trophy for the first time since 2014. Thanks for all you did at Nebraska, Trey. Fuck Iowa. Trey announced the day after the Iowa game that he was declaring for the 2023 NFL Draft. Trey then attended the combine where he ran a 4.33 40-yard dash. I told you guys he was a track superstar. Trey would then be drafted in the 6th round, 191st overall by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. 6th round? Come on now. But Trey was still determined, and he had a pretty good rookie season last year, considering he was and still is sitting behind Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. But he still managed to catch 39 receptions for 385 yards and 3 touchdowns in the regular season. During the wildcard game against the Eagles, he tweeted the morning of the game that he was pissed off. And he indeed did show that he was pissed off, with his only catch of the game being a 56-yard touchdown. The Buccaneers would go on to win that game. However, they would lose the next week to my squad, the Lions. As for this season, Trey has been going steady, but has been dealing with a concussion at the time I'm writing this. But I have faith that Trey will come back better than ever. Trey, if you're watching this, you are one of my favorite Husker players ever. That's going to be all for this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and have a great day.